Alright, today I'm going to show you how to draft a detail in Revit. More specifically, we're going to do the foundation detail for a raised floor house. Um, the way I like to do this is to create a drafting view. So we're going to go to View, Drafting View. There's other ways of doing this. This is the way we're going to do it today. This creates all two-dimensional line work and hatches, and it avoids any three-dimensional geometry. So it's kind of the AutoCAD version of drafting in Revit. So to start out, we're going to go to the Annotate tab. We're going to create a region. So what I want to do is start out by creating a region. We're going to set the line type to invisible lines. The reason being we want the earth hatch to show up as just a thick line on the top for now and no line around the perimeter. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. I think maximum this should be probably about 6-7 feet, maybe 5 or 6 feet deep, something like this. So we're going to change these lines, set these to invisible, and then set this top line. We'll set that to wide lines. Then we'll also set the hatch itself. We have to set this to an earth hatch. So what we're going to do is go to Edit Type, always duplicate, and we'll call this earth hatch. So this will be a hatch that's used for soil. We're going to change the fill pattern here. You click on it, the little gray box that appears, and we're going to go down and find the earth hatch. Hit OK. Leave all these settings for now and hit OK. And so this rectangle, once we hit the green check, now shows up as an earth hatch, and remember we set this top line to be a wide line. So we'll have already a kind of a backdrop to start with for this detail. Next thing we're going to do is we want to draw the stem wall for this foundation. So this will also be a filled region. Here we're going to have to do this out of concrete. So we're going to go to filled region. I'm going to set this, we'll go to medium lines for that. Now this we're going to have to create a concrete hatch. So we're going to go duplicate again. Always duplicate because it gives you the option to create a new hatch. So rather than rewriting the old one, we're creating a new one. So here we're going to call this concrete. Hit OK. And we will set the pattern to concrete. Then hit OK. Now, one thing this might do, if I go to Edit Type, right now the background is opaque, so that's good. That means it's going to be a solid white backdrop instead of having, overlapping with the earth hatch, which isn't what we want. Okay, so with the line selected, I'm just going to go ahead and draw. We're going to keep the width of this wall to 6 inches. Depth we can adjust later, but right now I want a 12-inch thick footing. So we're going to make this 8 inches. And again, refer to local building codes for dimensions and all of this. Okay, so again, we're gonna make sure that this is correct. We want 12 inches. So this can be 3, 3. I'm gonna pull this up as well. All right. Okay, so you'll see we have a stem wall drawn. If I want to just take a quick dimension, make sure this is right, that's 7 inches. We can bring that down to 6 inches. Bring this down as well. I can go to edit boundary if I want to modify that. And then by clicking on the edge, I can change the distance parametrically to 3 inches. Okay, so we have a stem wall. We're going to use an 18-inch minimum crawl space. So we're just going to go with the minimum requirement here. Delete that dimension. Okay, so here we want to modify this. We can also, the other way to do this is to create a masking region. So I'm just going to do a masking region, which is essentially a whiteout box. And I'm going to use invisible lines here. And I'm going to use a rectangle to establish this depth. So 1'6" minimum. And I'm going to modify this. Pull this edge out to here. So this is essentially a whiteout box creating our crawl space. So when I hit the green check, you'll see that it's whiting out everything that it's encompassing here. Okay, so this is showing that we have a crawl space underneath our house. There's a proper distance. We want to keep 8 inches from the grade to any wood level, any sill plate that we have here. So we're going to show that as well. Next we have to load the sill plate. So we're going to go to Insert, Load Family. Under Division 6, Wood and Plastic, we're going to find wood framing. And we're going to find nominal cut lumber section. So if you double click on that, that'll take us to the catalog showing all the different sizes we can use. So we have 2x4s here. We're going to go with a 2x6. So this will be a pressure treated 2x6 sill plate that we're going to use. And that's going to go right above this. So when you load family, it doesn't often, show up immediately. You have to go to component. I like to use, which is under architecture, component, or you can use CM for the shortcut. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Annotate tab, find the component, and I can drop that in. Now I want this to rotate, so I can hit the space bar and it'll rotate the lumber for me. So this is my pressure treated sill plate. I also want an anchor bolt here as well. So I'm also going to go to Component, Load Family. Under Division 5 Metals, we're going to find that. This is under 05, let's see, Common Work Results for Metals. And you're going to find anchor bolts hook side. Hit open. Now we'll place this and then, well, we can modify this first. So if we just want a 1/2 inch anchor bolt, we can drop that in like this. So we can click on that pressure treated sill plate and then click on bring to front and it'll automatically pull it to the front. So we have the anchor bolt. The next thing we want is a rim joist here to show the edge of the floor joist. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to component, load family. I'm going to go to wood and plastic again, wood and plastic, wood framing, nominal cut lumber section, and we're going to find a 2x12 to load. Okay, so now we're going to have to go back to annotate, hit component again, and then if you go down, you'll find under nominal cut lumber, you'll have the 2x12 that we can place here. Okay, so another thing we can do, so we want to also add our floor joist. So whether it's a floor joist or a TJI floor joist, we can add those here as well. Also going to load family, going to wood framing. So there's also shot fabricated wood as well, glue lam, other millwork. So these are other framing members that you can pull in. These are good if you're showing something else. So for example, the wood eye joist, we can pull that in here. If you double click on that, we're going to just use this one. Hit OK. And then under annotate component, we can find that as well. Now this is requiring a line, so it wants us to draw. You click and drag, and this can extend out. So we can have this, we want this to rest on that sill plate. So what I'm going to do is use the align tool. So under modify, align, click on that. AL is the shortcut. So I click on what I want it to align to, and then what I want to align, and it drops it down. Now this is in front of my anchor bolt, so I want to move this back. So I click on it, and I say send to back. So now the anchor bolt is showing here. Okay, so I'm realizing the size of this is a little too, well, we'll just keep going for now. We're going to put a subfloor on top of this and build up the composition here. So the next thing we need plywood because we're building up this foundation. So we're going to go back to annotate, component, load family. Also under wood and plastic, we're going to find sheathing. So actually, there's a couple places. This can also be under finishes as well. We're going to look at, there's ceiling, there's flooring, wood flooring. We don't want to go to that yet. We need sheathing for now. So wood plastics, let's see, sheathing, we have that here. And we're going to go with plywood section. They have other options here. We're going to go with plywood. So we can set the size here. We're just going to use a 3/4 inch plywood for now. So click and drag. So now we have plywood. Right now the detail is set to fine. We won't play with that. Okay, so we have plywood. We want to extend this out. We can use AL, extend. Okay. Next thing we want to do is add our add the sole plate to this. So we're building up this entire wall. So we're gonna go to component, load family, back to wood and plastic. We're gonna find wood framing, bring in another nominal cut. This time, actually we'll do another 2x6. So we didn't have to load this, we already had it loaded. So we're going to annotate component. I'm going to find the 2x6 that we used. We're going to use that. And then, so the wall itself, the stud framing, we're not going to show the actual stud. We're going to show insulation filling this wall. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to attach, so we'll add the plywood sheathing to the exterior of this face. So this we've already loaded. So if you have something in your drawing that you want to repeat, you can click on it and just say CS, and it'll start drawing what you've already brought in. We can use, for now, we'll just use a 1/2 inch sheet of plywood. So if we go to component, plywood, we're going to use 1/2 inch for the sheathing. This could also be OSB. For the sake of this detail, we're just going to leave this as plywood. So this will be our plywood coming up. We can extend this up. This will get cut off, so the actual distance that we make this isn't as important. We have that as well. So the next thing we want to show for the inside of this wall, we're going to show the drywall. So that's another component that we have to load. We're going to go to load family. We're going to go to division 9 finishes. So here you'll see different types of finishes, flooring, walls. So they have gypsum board here. There's other, so for exterior use, we'll talk about that in a second. Gypsum board. So we just need gypsum wallboard section. So this is also going to require some drawing. So we click and we can extend this out as long as we want. Notice how it started drawing in the wrong direction, so I can hit space, and now it's going to flip the direction. So I'm just going to extend this up. Again, we're going to use a break line to hide that the top of it. So now we have an interior with drywall, an exterior with plywood sheathing, and we're going to fill this with insulation. So under the detail tab, you go to insulation, width, we're going to set to 5 inches. And you can set how you want it to draw. Right now it's drawing down the center. I want this to be to the far side. So I'm going to extend this up. So I have now a wall composition of plywood. I have my stud framing that you're not seeing, and I have insulation filling that void. We can set this to 5.5 inches if we want. So I click on the insulation. I can say 5.5 inches. And then using the arrow tab, just move that over. All right, so we have now, we have the subfloor, we have drywall, and I want to add a finished floor to this as well. So that's also load family. We're going to find under wood and plastic, there, let's see, framing. Okay, so we're actually going to go to Division 9 Finishes to find that. So that's under flooring, wood flooring, and we're going to pull in wood strip flooring. Okay, so I'm just going to add this. Normally there would be a repeating detail component that we could use, repeating detail here, that would allow the detail to just repeat. That's not an option for this, so I'm just going to use CO, copy. I can array this as well, using the array. I can set the distance that I want it to move to, and I can set the number of them that I want it to populate. So I'll just say 20 to overshoot. Okay, so we've arrayed our wood flooring strips here. The next thing we want to do is add the stucco to the exterior of the wall here. So what we're going to do is go to Component, Load Family. Now this is under Division 9 Finishes. We're going to go to Plaster and Gypsum Board, and we're going to find, let's see, we're going to find plaster, Portland cement plastering. We're going to go to Stucco, open that. We're going to find where we just added that. Stucco, we're going to use 7/8 inch stucco. We're going to click and drag. So we're going to work our way up this wall. And again, we're going to block all that out, so the height doesn't really matter right now. Hit escape. So this is the wire lath behind it, and there's going to be paperback wire. So this whole thing is being held by that. We're going to add a weep screed as well at the bottom. So that's under Component, Load Family. This is under Division 9 Finishes as well. Plaster and Gypsum Board. Here we're going to find lath, and we're going to find Plaster Accessories Weep Screed. So we're going to double click on that. This is 7/8. I'm going to make sure it's on my weep screed. Seven-eighths. I'm going to drop that in. Okay, so now I have a weep screed, so that moisture drips off the edge here and doesn't run down the face of the material underneath. Other thing I'm doing, so I've modified some of these dimensions. I want to make sure this is a minimum of 8 inches. I want to make sure this is a minimum of 18 inches. Also that this, and again, this is based on the Los Angeles building department recommendations, but this can vary. So this is what we're using for now. These are dimensions that you guys want to keep. All right, next thing we want to do, we're going to add a drain pipe to this. So down here we want to have a drainage pipe, also called a French drain, that will remove water from the site. So we're going to use a masking region, and we'll use a wide line for that, and we're just going to draw a circle with a diameter of 4 inches or a radius of 2 inches. Hit the green check, and now we have that. Next thing we want to do is add gravel around it, so that water can drain properly. So we're going to add another filled region. So we're going to create a gravel. I've already done it, but I'll show you guys here. So gravel, and we're going to use the sand pattern dense for this one. Hit OK. I'm just going to draw a polyline kind of around this. showing that gravel should be placed around that. And we're going to use invisible lines for that. So all of these get invisible lines. Hit the green check, and it's covering the drain. So I'm going to click on it, say send backward, so it only goes back one. And now it's behind my drain tile, but still in front of the earth hatch here. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is add break lines to this. Those can be found. We're going to load family, Division 1 general, and we're just going to add a break line. And it doesn't want to do that. So we can go to break line. So this one we're going to place here. Hit escape. We can click on it and extend it up, so this white hatch or this white fill is gonna be a masking region for everything in that area. So it blocks that out. So showing that it's being cut away and that this extends further up. You can click on it, type CS to repeat it, and I can hit spacebar to flip its orientation and hit escape. So again, this is now the wrong way. We want this to rotate the other way. So I'm going to click on it, RO for rotate, flip this. And now I'm breaking the floor and the wall at those locations. And so the last step here is to annotate each of these elements, and you can go in and you can use text and a leader and go ahead and annotate each of the elements that we just created. Okay, one more thing I want to add is insulation. So we're going to add insulation to this floor. This will be batt insulation width. We can set that to, we'll say 11 inches. And we'll say to far side. So we can click here. It's going the wrong way. We hit spacebar. No. We can set this to near side and continue it for as long as we need. We can push this up a little bit too. Extend that, and then just bring this to the front. All right, so now this would be R19 in this case, batt insulation under the house. All right.